friends, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be making a pair of Victorian drawers for the Wonderland project. I hope you're as excited as I am. I absolutely love how these came out, just modeling them here for you. See the open legs right there. Not my favorite thing for modern day use, but I suppose it works for the whole Victorian age. The pattern I have for these drawers is actually taken from a book of magazine patterns called Reconstruction Era Fashions. I'll have it linked below. And it's a very simple, just 3-part pattern. And it's going to be very easy to make. I'll show you it, and I'll show you how I scaled it up right now. And here's the drawing of the drawers and the pattern. Now, here's the drawing as it would have appeared in the magazine, and here's the pattern. The drawer part is drawn 1/8 scale, the belt and the band are both 1/4 scale. Now, I have written down the measurements of the piece on the paper, so this is just 3 3/4 inches, and then since it is at 1/8 scale, you just multiply that by 8, and you have the width of the band. And you just repeat that for all the bits. I've marked out like every line here, and then marked this out. This is on a fold, so this is going to be 4 inches times 4, so it's just going to be 16 inches across. And very simple. It's just 3 pieces that have to be sewn together. So these are the legs, and this is the opening that allows for the drawers to be open-legged. As you can kind of see in the picture, they've drawn it how these are 2 separate pieces, and the only thing joined together is the band. Now, the directions here, fairly simple. These drawers are trimmed with an embroidered band, 1.5 inches wide. My band is a little different. You can see it right here. It's just probably about 3-4 inches, but I think it turned out great. It was the best thing they had at Hobby Lobby, so that's what I've used. All of my materials do come from Hobby Lobby, by the way. Joann's is like an hour away, so really we just use whatever craft store we have nearby. There's also an upholstery store that I like to go to for things. I actually have some projects that I'm working on that use upholstery fabric, so that'll be very interesting. So stay tuned for that. But anyways, this is the basic pattern, and let's get into it. So starting with the pattern for the pant leg, we're just going to scale that up. It was at 1/4 scale, so we're just going to make it full-sized. I've got it there. The next step is to cut out the waistband. I first cut it out as 1 full piece, and I separated off about 4 inches, and that's going to be where you're going to insert the twill tape and then sew up the whole band together. Next step is to cut out the trims for the leg. So I have 1 long wide trim, and then I have 1 frilly ruffle for the bottom. And I'm just cutting those in half, so I have 16 inches of each as per the instructions on the pattern. And you can just see right there how that's going to go together. And now we're just going to be marking a line 4 inches down from the upper left-hand corner of the pant leg. And this is just going to mark where the seam is going to stop and the leg is going to open. And here we're just going to sew up the seams of the legs so that we can make, 1 tube for each leg. You're just going to sew along the sides that I'm pointing to, having them folded over so they meet up. And this is how the drawers should look. You have both sides of them, and then the edges are seamed together. Now the next step is to fell down the edges. So the first thing you're going to want to do is cut down one of the 2 seam flaps, And I'm just cutting that down to about half the length that it originally was. And then you're going to be able to fold over the other side, and then you're going to be able to just sew it together, as you can see I'm doing right here. See, I'm just folding it right on over and then just sewing along the edge to fell it down. Now what we're going to do is take the pant leg, the narrowest part, and fold it over twice so that we can hem it down. You can see I'm kind of trying to show you with my hands how to hem it. And you're just folding it over twice, and then you're going to run a seam along the edges, just like so. Now you're going to do the same thing with your band, just sew along the edge, and then you're going to fell down the sides, just like we fell down the sides of the leg seams. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is gather the leg to fit the 16-inch band that we have created, and then you're going to want to sew those together. I decided to hand sew it so I would be able to sew the scalloped edge and not have just one straight seam coming across and having like the edge be flapping open. Next step is to hem the bottom of the trim so that once we put the ruffle, nothing will be exposed, there will be any raw edges, and after that I'm just sewing the ruffle right down onto the hemmed edge. And look at how they're coming together, they look so nice. We're just going to be seaming up the crotch now, making it look all nice and pretty with a nice little hem. And there we have it. And now onto the waistband, the trickiest part. I have it all lined up here so that you can see how it's going to go. And remember how we cut off about 4 inches of the top? Now we're going to sew that back together, and we're actually just going to add a little bit of the twill tape so that I can tie it around my waist. And you can see we're just seaming it up right there along the side. And we're also going to do that to the opposite side. And then we are also going to seam up the middle, as you can see we're doing right there. And there we have a completed half of the waistband. And very simple, the hard part actually comes just a little bit later. You can see here I'm just folding down the seams, opening them up, and having them pressed so that they can look all flat and beautiful like that TikTok. And everything is just going to be nice and smooth. Now moving on, we are going to flip the waistband the other way, so we have right sides facing inward, and I'm going to put the other side of the waistband on top so you can kind of see how it's going to come together there. We're just going to be seaming down the middle again, and then we are going to take our little top pieces and sew them down onto the tops of the other side of the waistband. And now that we've got that all together, we're going to have right sides together, and we're going to be sewing it all up along the upper edge. And here we have it. It is all sewn together. And now you can kind of see we're going to be flipping it the other way so that it is all encased in one bit. But before we can do that, we actually have to make some little notches because this is a curved seam and it wouldn't fold over correctly. There would be a lot of bunching if we didn't cut out some pieces. So you can see me doing that right here. I just cut about every inch or two a little triangle out so that it'll be able to fold easily when I fold it over. And there we have it. I have folded it over and pressed it so everything is looking all flat and perfectly smooth. Alright, so we have both pant legs and the waistband created, so now all that's left is to gather the waistband and then sew gather the tops of this and then sew the waistband onto the top. Now, the way we're going to do that is I'm going to do a basting stitch on the machine throughout the top, and then I'm going to actually connect the two pieces right here at the back, and then I'm going to gather it down to the length of the waistband, and then I'll show you how I sew it on. Alright, now that we have the waistband and the front top gathered, what we're going to do is connect the waistband and the top by taking this and bringing it on the outside, and then we're going to fold the top over and fold it under like that and sew it down to the top. Well, friends, that is all. That is how I made my Victorian drawers. Now I'm going to stand up so you guys can get one last look at them in all their glory. I absolutely love how they turned out. The waistband is great. They have the open leg feature. I'll stick with my modern underwear, but you know it's good for a period costume. Got the back. And I absolutely love the trim that we put. It is gorgeous. It is absolutely amazing, and I found it just wonderful, and it came out so amazingly. Now, next step in the Alice project is going to be making the chemise, so stay tuned for that. And I also have some other projects that I'm working on. You know, I'm trying to get my portfolio ready for college and everything, so plenty of projects underway, and I hope you all enjoyed this video.